parliamo del lavoro del futuro, che in realtà è molto difficile dipingere ovviamente già da oggi. Il lavoro del futuro legato al futuro del pianeta, quindi si mettono insieme due aspetti importanti che sono sostenibilità e lavoro. I have to switch in English. Gianmario Verona stays with me, and we have Simona Maschi, co-founder, director, Copenhagen Institute of Interaction Design. Welcome, Simona. Thank you so much for being with us. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, hi. Luciano Balbo, presidente e founder Oltre Impact. Thank you so much, Luciano. Welcome. Alessio Colombo, co-founder and COO di Rice House. Welcome, Alessio. Thank you so much. And we have also David Katz, CEO, Plastic Bank. Thank you so much for being with us, David. Hi.
Hi, good morning from Vancouver.
From Vancouver. I thought you were in Washington, but you are in Vancouver. Perfect. Okay, thank you so much, all of you, for being with me today. So, the future of the jobs, and we still don't know how the jobs will be in the future, linked to sustainability, to what we do in the education, for example. What are you doing regarding to this aspect?
Well, I think there are two things that as universities we should do immediately. Probably we should have done this much before, but for sure now we have to do it. First of all, we have to rejuvenate all the curricula, speaking more about sustainability. So the ecological transition and all the challenges that sustainability brings along, which have to do also with inclusion, diversity, and with all the change for a more oriented towards purpose companies is something really crucial, and so we should teach it more clearly in core courses that already we have. And then the other thing is that we should probably also innovate a little bit more in terms of identifying these new intersections between some important disciplines that are at the basis of innovation in these days. And we should try to provide in these courses some use case, some best practice that come, for example, from the speakers in this panel, in order to really give future students the opportunity to learn new skills. So I believe that on the one hand, again, we have to be good in rejuvenating things that we still used to teach in the old way, but things have dramatically changed in the last few years. But at the same time, we also should identify new opportunities in these intersections.
Simona, you deal with this concept of open innovation, right? Why open innovation can be the right answer when we talk about health emergencies, environmental emergencies, economic ones? Why do we have to deal with open innovation for you?
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, maybe we should just mention a little bit what we mean by open innovation. So open innovation is a process of innovation where a company, rather than relying on internal resources only, internal people, knowledge, data, processes, opens up the process to stakeholders, individuals, resources, the data, which are external to the organization. And by doing that, kind of relying on much more possibilities of creating partnerships and collaborations and so on. The external stakeholders could be individuals, startups, university. There are several forms. So given the definition, why is it strategic and important to do it, especially, as you say, with the crisis you just mentioned? It's important because each of those crises, whether it's climate, now the pandemic, and challenges about mobility, health, tourism, everything has to transform. Those challenges are quite complex in nature, which means that probably a single company cannot tackle the challenge in an exhaustive way, because a complex challenge requires a complex gathering of resources and people and expertise to come up with a solution which is answering the challenge. So that's why open innovation is quite a strategic, actually, go-to strategy, because you can build and rely on different expertise that normally are not typical to be included in one single company. So there is no one, automotive company that can solve the issue of mobility or traffic or congestion in urban cities. Or there is no one pharma company can solve the problem of obesity with kids or other kind of chronic diseases. So we need more forces to come together. And it's particularly interesting because, again, first of all, a company can overcome the limited resources that are normally controlled under a closed environment and move into a situation where actually, rather than controlling, they're more into orchestrating the different resources and individuals and companies and so on. So, but it also reduces the time to market because it's normally quicker. The bigger the company is, the more difficult it is to be agile and change, to react to the challenges that we need to change, especially the SDGs, the Agenda 2030. So relying on external resources can actually be not just an opportunity, but also a money-saving strategy and tactic when it comes to R&D. And of course, there are many more answers to give, but I'll stop here for now.
Thank you so much. Very interesting, Simona. Thank you. I just go back to you in a while. Luciano, you are a fund very careful about social, environment, economic and local aspects of the startups that you let grow. When you let grow and you help grow a startup, what do you ask to the startup to do in terms of sustainability, for example?
We work in what we call it's impact investing arena. So basically, what we ask is before investing. So we try to invest in business model that show some additionality, so can bring some more value, not only for the shareholder, but also for the society. Society could be social point of view, environmental point of view. So what we ask to the startup is to pursue the original objective to develop this business model that can have also some positive externalities on the society from a global side. So this is the objective of our activity of impact investing in the large.
Is it simple to do that in
No,
our
it is
country?
not simple because to create new models is not simple at all, and it's difficult. And in fact, impact investing is now a lot of fashion and is enlarging the activity because, as you know, many companies can create impact even if they are not startup.
Yeah.
So the impact investing was probably the most successful concept in the financial world in the last 5 years. So we moved from a very niche market to full mainstream. Obviously, this is a success. Also is, in a certain way, diluting the concept. So any success has its own pros and cons. I think that the success is fine. The success sometimes could be a risk.
Interesting. Thank you. David, what about plastic bank? I read, doing some research about you, you said, let's stop looking at plastic as a waste because it's not. This is the message that you launch. What does that mean?
Well, I think it's a bit more than that. Let's use plastic as a metaphor. Let's look at the word waste, whether it be in English or Italian or whatever language it is. When we communicate that something has an end of life, then that's what it will be. Marine debris crisis, climate change is occurring from word. Things are wasteful. The plastic bank is a global chain of stores for the world's poor, the world's emerging, where everything in the store can be purchased using plastic, the plastic resource that it is. And
Yeah.
the stores that we have offer school tuition, medical insurance, Wi-Fi, cooking fuel, all kinds of things. So it's plastic as money for the world. So plastic is money. So it's and what was communicated a little bit earlier as well was the space of rejuvenation and impact, but it's regeneration. It's about how can we repair the damage that's been done. That's much more of the conversations. The plastic bank is stores where plastic is money because the poor don't throw money away. You see, it's a reframe. And in the use of it, it regenerates society, it regenerates people, it regenerates the earth. And I mean, it's just a regenerative business model. That's what the world needs.
There are a lot of persons here listening to you guys. David, can you tell us a little bit more about Plastic Bank and how far are you going with the project?
Well, we're an international organization that has to expand globally. We started off in Haiti. Some of the images you saw there were from Haiti. We went to the Philippines, Indonesia, Brazil, Egypt. We're opening out Thailand, Cameroon. Next year, Tanzania, Kenya. We continue to grow wherever there is material resources to collect, wherever there are people who look for opportunity, who are resourceful, then that's where we should be. I've witnessed countless people who are homeless in the streets of Rome. Certainly we could be there as well. We need to continue growing and creating a paradigm for the world where plastic is money. Now, inside of what we do, there's a blockchain-based banking application, Plastic Bank, where the more frequently our collectors collect and return material, they also earn financial inclusion. They have the ability to substantiate who they are. So they can borrow small business loans or mortgages or other insurance products. It's an additional example that the material resources around us are valuable. It may not just be the value in the material, but it's how it's used and what is created from the use of it that as well has to be looked at.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you say. And you can also make a house from rice. In Italy, you don't have to go abroad to do that, right?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can talk.
Okay. No, thank you for the question. Well, we're starting in another side of our faults. We're starting from our territory, just like the way to make some that is considered just like a residue or a byproduct of a great production that we have in Italy, to try to find the way to use it in a new aspect, a new way. So we started from rice, from the rice fields, and inside of these rice fields we thought about that we have the possibility to use all the residues we have in Italy, in Europe, and in the world, to make something new in the construction site. So we find the way to make a house. So we starting about materials. How can we create? So with a lot of research and development in new material that could be 100% natural. And in that way, we started with our project to realize an entire house of made of rice residues. So it's a startup project starting some years ago, 5 years ago, and we realized our own house as the beginning, and we thought that it was great, it was working. And starting from that, we start to understand that there's a new, innovative and possible way to realize it, to tackle the problem starting from a construction sector related to materials, to petrochemical pollution, and we find a way to tackle over the project, the problem related to agriculture, residues and pollution.
Yeah, very interesting. And while you talk, we see also some footage of your headquarters. Very, very interesting, I have to say. And I start this second round of questions with you. I read that you are 11 professionals in your headquarters, is that right?
Yes, up to now, 18.
Yes. Now 18?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We
You're
started
moving on.
in 5 years ago, so today we are in 18.
Okay. And 70% are women, which is good. And what kind of, for example, are you architecture? I mean, architects, are you in architecture or other professions?
Yes, mainly, obviously, we are focused on the construction sector, so we're starting to thinking about the project and how to do these houses. But today, we have a big growth. So we have divided our activity and business model related to 3 main sectors, which is the projection, the design and project activities related to new way of buildings on construct, a business unit related to the materials, so to commercialize the materials we have invented and developed. And obviously the first one that it was the idea to just like a sort of open innovation to help big company to try to find a way to make innovative materials obviously related to the rice residues.
Interesting, because I don't know how many foreigners are here, but in Piedmont, the region, after the war, the Second World War, rice was important also in the movies industries. So we had these movies with, I don't know, Silvana Mangano or all these great actresses
it's quite
cultivating rice.
It's quite interesting because one of our biggest suppliers of the rice residues is the farmers that were take the movie Riso Amaro.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. I was just saying that I didn't know that. It's interesting. Professor Verona, what companies should ask students to study, for example, in these very challenging times?
Well, so I think that one thing for sure that they should, they are challenging students towards different, different contexts. So I believe that we have had, 4 great panelists that gave the opportunity to see how the world has changed, right? Up until, today we used to talk about closed innovation, now it's open innovation. Plastic is bad, but plastic can be good. Social impact, again, rice doing different things. So it's important to require students with different perspectives, because challenges of the world are really complex, and the pandemic is the quintessential complexity probably in terms of challenges. And so we really need students more open-minded. And so I believe that universities should first of all stimulate this open-mindedness. And then probably they should also look for students that have what we like to call in university T-skills. So specialization on the one end, because you need to have some specialty. You need to be expert in economics, in law, in natural sciences or in something. But also you need to have also the cap of the T. So to see the world with a 360 degrees perspective. So I believe that this is probably the important diversity compared to the past. And again, as universities, we should try to be better in really providing this, on the one hand, interdisciplinarity, on the other also ability to work on behavioral skills so that students can have this broader view of the world. Because again, complexity can be challenged only with important and complex solutions, which require, again, different views and different expertises.
Of course. Thanks, Gianmario. Simona, I go back to you. You are a director of a very, it's a center of excellency, the one you are director of, right? How open innovation right now is linked to issues such as sustainability, for example. Also from you, a very quick reply. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, as you can see, I'm all for the SDGs by the United Nations. So we're actually totally targeted as an institution with our school and also with all the activities on the 17 goals. And with my answer, I will connect to something that actually David mentioned, which I thought was quite inspiring. And so when we say open innovation, there are different ways of being open to whom. And often we think about a big company with the young startup and then the magic happens. But open innovation can have several layers. For example, a company can be open to its own employees and make sure that the employees are actually engaged in the process of generating new ideas, because ultimately are often the ones who know the most and have very interesting knowledge, which is often untapped in the processes of innovation. But we can also include our customers, the people who buy the products and the services, or the users, the people who actually use them, which is not always the same as the customer, all the way to society, where schools, universities, and startups. But at CID, we went a little bit more radical with the concept of open innovation. In fact, I'm speaking actually right now from Costa Rica, where we opened our second campus, because we believe that nature should also be a stakeholder in this process of open innovation. We have so much to learn from nature. So we bring our students to this country where we can learn a lot from biodiversity. We work with the experts in biomimicry, which means biologists who actually study the dynamics in nature to help humans actually inform their own innovation processes. So nature and the planet have been generating solutions and keeping ecosystems in balance and basing any kind of choice on the concept of regeneration, as David was mentioning. So we are here to teach our students and run projects that move from an economy of extraction to an economy of regeneration, exactly as, again, mentioned before. Now, are we doing enough? Yeah, we are in partnership with the United Nations, and we make sure that we reduce our time from having an intention to create a good impact to actually a real impact. There is so much to do still. I mean, a lot is happening in the field of sustainability and open innovation, but there is a lot that needs to be done, a lot more. There is one extra topic. First of all, if companies are making a commitment to really bring sustainability into their agenda, there are some bad news maybe, which is it's not going to be an incremental change. Companies have to redefine the reason why they exist in the first place. What is their contribution to the sustainability agenda, which will require a lot of adaptation. So when we make decisions internally, the KPI shouldn't just be about economic growth, commercial success, scalability of markets, but it should also be about what is our contribution to the sustainability of the planet and social sustainability. But the big news, the good news is that I look at the SDGs, so the report by the United Nations about the challenges that we need to solve by 2030, as the biggest marketing research ever done in history, probably. So that report and those challenges are about the needs of the world. If there are needs, there are markets to be built. If there are markets to be built, there are profits to be made, and there are new economies and new business models to be designed. So it's not going to be like, okay, I do my usual as business and then I just build a CSR kind of department to fix a little bit with some green all the damage I do in my normal business. It's a matter of transformation of the company from scratch. That's also what we teach our students, and to be creative leaders for regenerative businesses and so on. So,
Thank you. Thank you, Simona.
Yeah.
I have to leave it here because I have like 4 minutes and 45. So,
And
David, yeah, sorry. So, David, I have many questions, but I have to pick up one. So, why do you think the theme of plastic exploded recently?
We see what occurs when I think that there's an issue outside of self, and that issue outside of self we see in the ocean. We see the degradation that's occurring. We see the mass extinction that is unfolding. And we see an opportunity for as well now to look inside and say, how do I participate? I think that if anything that has occurred, we have an entire society now that is standing forward and saying something must be done. And I stand forward for people to be looking and saying, I want something done. I can participate. I can make change.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Luciano, I conclude this panel with you. I know that we are doing everything with the web and with internet, right? Even though this past year we saw also how objects are really important, like chips, for example, and components. But is there any objects that you link to your first experience with internet?
I think that internet is the word. So I remind me that the screenshot of the first page of Google Earth, when you see the entire work growing up, this is, in my imagination, something that is internet, where you can see, or you can arrive everywhere immediately in the world.
For me as well. When now, when I look at it, I'm like, oh, okay, it's beautiful. Okay, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being with me today. Thank you, Simona and David. Enjoy Vancouver and Costa Rica. And thank you so much to you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you.